So, Prabhuji, is it okay for me to start recording? And then
Yeah, no problem.
Okay. Okay, Prabhuji, I've started recording. Okay, Hare Krishna, everybody. Dandavat Pranam Path Prabhuji. Path Prabhuji is one of our mentors, and Mansi Ganga Mataji also is our mentor, and I'm sure she will be joining in. Or she
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Please accept our humble obeisances. It's nice, Prabhuji, you are coming in this platform and giving your time, precious time, and giving your sharing your knowledge of Bhagavad Gita among us. We are so grateful. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Okay, so we have reached the time. Let's start. So I'll request Shashwin, our youngest devotee in the group. Our group ranges from 5 to 18. So we have all type of people, Prabhuji, in this group. Shashwin, is it possible for you to recite the Mangla Charan for us? Better, please.
Yes. Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mayam Dadati Svadatamrikam Vandeham Shri Gurum Shri Yudapadakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavam Shri Rupam Sakrajatam Sagana Raghunathan Tam Sajitam Swasvaidam Swavadudam Parijanasamritam Krishna Shri Radha Krishna Bhaktan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishwakarnitam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurani Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripasinuvaivacha Patitanam pavanibhyo Vaishnavibhyo namo namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare
Hare.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Shashwin, for the recital of the wonderful Mangla Charan. We are reading the Bhagavad Gita as it is, and we are on chapter 13. Chapter 13 is called the nature, the enjoyer, and the consciousness. And today we are on text 16. So, Shashwin, is it possible for you to recite the text, please?
Yes, Hare Krishna. Bahirantascha bhutanam acharam charameva cha त्वात्तद् अविज्ञेयं दूरस्थं चान्तिके च तत्.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, ISKCON Eldoret. Is it possible for you, somebody, George Prabhuji or somebody who's near, read the word to word? Prabhuji, please.
Yes. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Bahi,
Bahi,
outside.
outside.
Antaha,
Antaha,
side.
inside.
Cha,
Cha,
also.
also.
Bhutanam,
Bhutanam,
of all living entities.
of all living entities.
Acharam,
Acharam,
not moving.
not moving.
Charam,
Charam,
moving.
moving.
Eva,
Eva,
also.
also.
Cha,
Cha,
and.
and.
Suksamatvat,
Sukshma,
on account of being subtle.
on account
of being subject.
Touch,
that,
that.
that.
Avigyanam,
Avijnayam,
knowable.
Unknowable.
Durashtaham,
Durastham,
far away.
far away.
far away.
Cha,
Cha,
also.
also.
Anteke,
Deke,
near.
Near.
Cha,
Cha,
and.
and.
That,
That,
that.
that.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, is it possible for you to read the translation? ISKCON Eldoret, kindly volunteer, please, Prabhuji. Translation.
The supreme truth exists outside and inside of all living beings, the moving and the non-moving, the moving and the non-moving, because he is subtle. He is beyond the power of the material sense to see or not, or to know. Although far, far away, he is also near to all. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. Now we'll go on to reading the purport. Prahlad Prabhu. Prahlad, Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Will you please read the purport by Srila Prabhupada?
Yes. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada Ki.
Jai.
Yeah. In Vedic literature, we understand that Narayana, the Supreme Person, is residing both outside and inside of every living entity. He is present in both the spiritual and material worlds. Although he is far, far away, still he is near to us. These are the statements of Vedic literature. Asino duram vrajati sayano yati sarvata. Katha Upanishad 1-21. And because he is always engaged in transcendental bliss, we cannot understand how he is enjoying his full opulence. We cannot see or understand with these material senses. Therefore, in the Vedic language, it is said that to understand him, our material mind and senses cannot act. But one who is purified his mind and senses by practicing Krishna consciousness and devotional service can see him constantly. It is confirmed in Brahma Samhita that the devotee who has developed love for the Supreme God can see him always without cessation. And it is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 11, chapter 11, text 54, that he can be seen and understood only by devotional service. Bhaktiya Tva Ananya Sakya. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Prahlad, for reading the purport for us. Hare Krishna, everybody. Today we have an amazing devotee with us. I feel very humbled and I feel very small that Prabhuji is with us, and I'm really grateful that he had the time. Prabhuji, just a little bit of ISKCON Eldoret. We are very small group of devotees, but now we have on this group a lot of people from all over the world. We have people from India, we have people from the UK, and all over Kenya. So it's not restricted to Eldoret. We are called ISKCON Eldoret, but it's an open group, and we have a lot of people joining from everybody else. But I think they consider themselves ISKCON Eldoret family. We do the Path Prabhuji and Mansi Ganga Mataji, who are our mentors, who are also on the group at the moment, can tell us more about our organization, which is the same everywhere else, but we are just a very small center. Prabhuji, let me try to introduce you to the group. Maybe I might not be able to do justice, Prabhuji. My mentors will give us more about you. Prabhuji, you know everybody on this group, and we are the new addition comers. You are the pioneers in spreading Krishna consciousness in Kenya, at least. Prabhuji is from a Gujarati background, and everybody would be very happy to know that he was from Kenya. Haribol. He was in Embu, and he moved to the UK long time ago, 1969, when I was just a very small kid at that time. He was 7 years old. Maybe I was 7 as well at that time. And he was greeted by the snow, by the biting cold. You know, we enjoy the best weather in Kenya, and Eldoret is the one that is an icing on the cake when it comes to weather, and so is Embu. But he adapted the British way of life, and guess what? In the summer of 1971, call it fate or karma or Guru's mercy. I think it is Krishna and Guru's mercy that his eldest brother was handed a copy of Back to Godhead. And Prabhuji's spiritual journey started from there, and the rest is history. Prabhuji, you can enlighten us by telling more about yourself, Prabhuji. I don't want to speak in such a great personality in front of such a great personality. Prabhuji, we'd like to hear from you, Prabhuji. So Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, welcome to this group. Please, you are our father. We look upon you. So I hand over the session to you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. It's a great pleasure and honor to be with you here today, and thank you for inviting me. Devotees are like gems. They're very, very, very rare. That's why, even though you call it small group of devotees, in actuality, when you go shopping for like some jewelry, very, very few people will go to actually buy diamonds or rubies or sapphires, but many, many people will go and buy those plastic earrings. So devotees are like gems, they're like diamonds. They're not so easily found because the twinkling of the material energy is what attracts people. So I don't personally want to really speak too much about myself. If anybody wants to know me, then you can just send that BTG article, then there's information about me there. I'd rather talk about Krishna. Just before I start, what's our time limit so that I know?
Prabhuji, it is 8 o'clock here in Kenya. So now it is 8:15, and we usually have this session for 1 hour. So
okay. Does that include questions and answers?
Yes. So Prabhuji, we have our mentor speak for around 40 minutes and then question and answers. 40,
so I'll stop about 10 to or something like that.
Yes.
And then you can have questions. If not, I'll carry on. Thank you. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Mukam karoti vachalam pangam langayachakiri jatkripatam ham bande Shri Guru Prabhupadinatarinam. It is explained by the mercy of the Guru, a lame man, he can walk and he can climb mountains. A dumb man like myself can speak a few words, and a blind man, he can see the stars in the sky. So by the mercy of my Guru Dev, Srila Prabhupada, we will speak a little bit. So there's two natures in Krishna's creation. You have the spiritual nature and you have the material nature. So in the Bhagavad Gita here, Krishna is explaining the two different natures. So Krishna, naturally, he is of the spiritual nature, and where we're living in the material world, that is of the material nature. Yet we are of the spiritual nature, but because we are covered with this illusion of material nature, then for us, it's not possible for us to perceive something spiritual. To try and see Krishna, to try and understand Krishna, it is only possible, as explained here in the purport, only by devotional service can one understand Krishna. So Krishna has many names. Krishna is one of the most famous names: Madhusudan, Trivikram, Vamandev, Rama, Narayan, Vishnu. Krishna has many, many thousands of names. One of the names that he has is called Adokshaja. Adokshaja means one who is beyond sense perception. We have our senses, our eyes, our ears, our nose, our tongue, our sense of feeling. We have our senses over here. And with these senses, we gain a certain amount of knowledge. So if I look outside the window now, I can see the sun is shining, I can see the trees, I can see the birds. So I am getting that kind of information through my eyes. So materially, you can get certain material amount of information, but it has a certain limitations, the knowledge we can try and get from the eyes. So if I try and look through that wall, I can't see what's beyond that wall. If I try to look in another room with my eyes, I cannot see. So the eyes, the material senses have a certain limitations. So if we want to try and see that Supreme Personality of Lord Krishna, then material eyes are of no use to us. We need spiritual eyes, we need spiritual vision to try and understand Krishna. And even if Krishna was to walk physically next to us, we will not recognize him. How do I know that? Because when Krishna was present 5,000 years ago, the Supreme Swayam Bhagavan Krishna walked, very, very few people knew that this was God. Very, very few people knew that this was the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Most people took him as a hero. Most people took him as some kind of a prince. Some people took him as a Makanchor. Some people saw him as not a Kshatriya. You know, just different kinds of ways that people understood. And obviously the example there is of Shishupal. Shishupal, when at the Rajasurya sacrifice, when the great honor, the guest chief honor was given to Krishna by Maharaj Yudhishthira, more or less everyone accepted it except for Shishupal. So because he had so much envy, so much hatred towards Krishna, he could not see who Krishna really, really was. So trying to understand Krishna through his material understanding ultimately caused his own death. Another classical example of misunderstanding who Krishna is was the famous story that when the Pandavas finally came back after the exile. So it was inevitable that the war was going to take place between the Kurus and the Pandavas. So each of the allies, they dispatched messengers to try and get different kings to be on their side. So then when it came to Krishna, rather than sending a messenger, Arjuna personally went himself. And Duryodhana, he also went himself to try and get the support of Krishna to fight in the battle of Kurukshetra, where the Bhagavad Gita that we are studying is taking place. So when Arjuna and Duryodhana, when they arrive in Dwarka, Krishna is resting. So Duryodhana, he arrives first. So then the person who is guarding Krishna, he says, "Can you please wait? Krishna is resting." Of course, Duryodhana was a very, very arrogant person. He just pushed the guard away and said, "You do not know who I am? I am the mighty Duryodhana." So he pushed the guard aside and he went. Then he saw Krishna lying over there, and then he went and sat next to Krishna's head. And then after that, Arjuna came. Then again, he also inquired. The guard said that Krishna was taking rest. Then Arjuna said he was wait outside, but the guard said, "Well, Duryodhana is already in, you might as well wait." So then Arjuna enters into Krishna's bedroom, and he sees Duryodhana sitting at the head of Krishna, but Arjuna goes by the lotus feet of Krishna, and he humbles himself and he sits down there. Then Duryodhana started throwing some sharp words at Arjuna. "I came here first. I have the right to ask Krishna." And as he was kerfuffling like this, he knocked over a vase, and that woke Krishna up. And as soon as Krishna woke up, his eyes first went to see his beloved friend Arjuna. And then Krishna was a little surprised to see Arjuna. He said, "Oh, Arjuna, what are you doing here? I'm surprised to see you." Then they started having this conversation. But because Krishna could only see in front of him, he could only see Arjuna, but he could not see Duryodhana, who was by his head side. And then Duryodhana, feeling that he was left out, said, "Oh, I am also here." Then Krishna looked at Duryodhana and said, "Oh, you are here." Anyway, Duryodhana, being quite forthcoming, said, "It seems there's going to be a war between the Pandavas and the Kauravas. We know that you always favor the Pandavas, but I am also related to you. I am also your cousin, so I also have an equal right to get your support." Then Krishna was teasing and saying, "Oh, Duryodhana, did you make any chance for peace?" Duryodhana said, "No, we tried, but we wouldn't have it." Then finally Krishna said, "Okay, well, what I will do is that I will divide my army so that you can have the army, one person, and Krishna, he will be on another person's side," because he wanted to give something to both of them. So both felt that they could get something. So on one side, they could choose the whole of the Yadava army. On the other side, they could have Krishna. Then Duryodhana started splurting and saying, "Well, I came first, I should choose first." And then Krishna said, "Yeah, but although you came first, as soon as I woke up, I saw Arjuna. So he gets the first go. He gets the first choice. Then Duryodhana was really, really upset. Then Krishna said, I must also say that whoever chooses me, I will not lift a finger. I will not fight. I will just be on their side to support them. But I will not engage because it's not right for me to fight my own army. Then Duryodhana got really angry and upset. Well, naturally, Arjuna is going to choose the army. Who's going to choose you, Krishna? You're not going to even fight. What are you going to do on the battlefield? Eat makhan? Anyway, so then Duryodhana was despondent and he thought he got a bad deal over here. Then Krishna asked Arjuna, what do you want, the army or me, even though I will not fight? Without hesitation, without even a thought, Arjuna straight away said, I want you, Madhusudan, to be on my side. Wow, Duryodhana was so happy to hear this. So happy to hear this. He said, yeah, I accept that arrangement. That's fine. Krishna, you can fight or you can be on Arjuna's side, and I'll take the Yadava army. And thinking that Duryodhana, he got the best deal because he was calculating in a material way. His senses could not see who Krishna was. So he calculated materially, whereas Arjuna, who was spiritual, could understand that even though Krishna would not fight, just the mere presence of Krishna on their side was sure enough for victory. And it was true, the Pandavas were not as mighty as the Kauravas. They had a smaller army. The generals were much inexperienced, whereas the Kauravas had mighty Bhishma, Dronacharya. They had such a bigger army. But because Duryodhana materially calculated the situation and could not see who Krishna was spiritually, he lost. So to try and see Krishna, to try and understand Krishna, it is not possible to try and understand him. He says in the Bhagavad Gita, Premam jano charita bhakti vilochanena santa sadeva hridayeshu vilokayanti yang shama sundaramachinta guna swarupam. That our eyes, Premam jano charito, they need to be decorated with prema. They need to be decorated with love. They need to be decorated with devotion towards Krishna. And only and until then, we will able to perceive who Krishna is. Materially, we're not able to see him. He'll be sitting right next to us and we won't even know it. But if you are spiritually enlightened, then by your dint of devotional service, you will able to see Krishna. When Hiranyakashipu was shouting at Prahlad, where is this God of yours? Where is this Krishna of yours? Then Prahlad said, he's everywhere. Then Hiranyakashipu started shouting, is he here? Is he here? Is he in this pillar? Then Prahlad looked at the pillar, and behind the pillar, Prahlad saw the beautiful form of Nrsingadev. And Nrsingadev waved at Prahlad. And then when Prahlad saw that beautiful form of Nrsingadev, he replied to Hiranyakashipu, yes, he is in the pillar. Meaning, Hiranyakashipu was looking at the pillar in a material kind of a way. But Prahlad, because he was anointed with Premam Jano, then he could see spiritually, as is explained in this verse. Krishna is everywhere, he's inside, he's outside. So in here, the reference is the super soul, that he is the super soul, which is within our heart. So although Krishna is in the spiritual world, yet by his magical energies, he can be here as well. He can be wherever he chooses. And because our limitation of understanding Krishna is there, we cannot perceive it. We cannot understand it. The limited cannot understand the unlimited. The limited cannot understand the unlimited. As you probably all know, the famous story of Dr. Frog. So Dr. Frog, he lived in a well and he was happy just going about his activities. So one day, a friend of his came to visit him. And then Dr. Frog said, "Oh, it's so nice to see you." He said, "Where have you come from?" He said, "Oh, I have come from far away." He said, "Oh, really? Where?" He said, "I come from a place called the ocean, the sea. It's a massive body of water." And Dr. Frog was quite proud of his little well. And he said, "Is it big as my well, the ocean?" Then the other frog, his friend, laughed and said, "No, no, no, no. It's much bigger than your well." Then Dr. Frog said, "No, can't be. Is it twice as big as my well?" And his friend said, "No, no, it's much, much, much bigger." And then Dr. Frog, being very proud, he started blowing up his kind of under his throat, whatever the frogs do. He said, "As big as this, as big as this, as big as this." But because all his perception of life was just limited to his well, he could not comprehend how big the ocean was. He could not understand how big the sea was, because his experience of life was just within that small well. So he tried to understand the ocean by the limits of the well. So we cannot understand Krishna through the limits of our senses. It's just not possible to perceive him. And if we try to understand Krishna through a logical, reason, material, calculated way, we will be frustrated and it will not work according to the material calculation. In the material world, 2 plus 2 is 4. In the spiritual world, 2 plus 2 could be 4, could be 3, could be 5. It's the variations. You also probably know the famous story again of the Narad and the cobbler. The cobbler was a very humble person, shoe repair person. The Brahmin, great learned person, reading the scriptures, chanting the mantras, going through the Vedic samskaras, diligently having 3 baths a day. So he was top class Brahmin. And then when Narada Muni came, he wanted to inquire, "Where are you going, great sage?" Narada said, "Well, I'm going to Vaikuntha to see Lord Narayan." And then the Brahmin was a little bit late. He said, "Oh, can you please ask this one question to Narayan?" And Narada said, "Yes, what is it you want to know?" He said, "Can you ask him when I will get my moksha, my liberation? You know, I've been working so hard, studying the books. I've worked so hard trying to perform so much austerities. I've just really, really gone through the mill trying to be a Paka Brahmin." Then Narada said, "Yes, no problem, I will ask him." Then on the way, he met the mochi, the cobbler, And the cobbler was very happy when he heard the sound of Narada Muni's veena. He welcomed him. He offered some nice words, a seed, a little cool water, whatever his humble meanings was, he offered it to the Lord. And he was very grateful that Narada Muni was there. And then the cobbler inquired, "Where are you going?" And then Narad said, "I'm going to see Lord Narayan." And then the cobbler said, "Could you please ask this question? When will I get the opportunity to serve his Lord? When I will able to see him face to face?" And then Narad said, "Okay, no problem." So then Narada Muni went to Vaikuntha. Narayan, Narayan, Narayan. When he arrived over there, he was greeted by Lord Narayan. Narayan inquired how Narada Muni was. The Narada Muni explained, "I met a couple of people who inquired about when they were able to get moksha or see you." And then Narayan said, "Oh, I know these two persons." Then Narada said, "Well, the Brahmin wanted to know when will he get his moksha." Narayan said, "Well, tell him after many, many millions of births will he get his moksha." Narada Muni was a little bit taken back. He was a little bit surprised. "What is this, my dear Lord? This Brahmin, he gets up early, takes cold shower, he studies the scriptures, he performs great austerities, but yet he will not get his moksha." Then he said, "Well, what about the cobbler?" Then the Lord said, "The cobbler, at the end of this life, he will come directly to me in Vaikuntha." And this even shocked him even more. A cobbler who performs so-called untouchable work will get liberation straight away, whereas the Brahmin who studies, understands the Siddhanta or the Tattva, he'll not get liberation. The Narayan said, "Don't judge the book by its cover." He said, "When you see this too, when they're inquiring what I was doing, tell them I was threading an elephant through the eye of a needle, this way and that way." It's quite interesting. If you ever listen to this lecture by Prabhupada, just says this way and that way, this way and that way. Then when he met the Brahmin said, "Well, when will I get my moksha?" Narada Muni said, "Well, you will get your moksha after many, 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 many thousands of years." The Brahmin would not have this. He was furious. He was upset. He said, "How can this be? You have no idea how hard I have been working to try and get moksha." So, well, this was the Lord's words. Then he began to doubt this person was Narada Muni. So, well, if you are really Narada Muni, what was the Lord doing when you met him? And Narada Muni said, "Well, I was threading an elephant through an eye of a needle, this way and that way, this way and that way." And the Brahmin started laughing. "Are you stupid? You expect me to believe this? That a giant elephant, the Lord is threading through the tiny eye of a needle? Pagal manas, jao, jao, jao." So then he went to the cobbler. Then he asked the cobbler, "I went to see Lord Narayan." Then the cobbler was very, very happy. He welcomed Narada Muni and said, "Oh, when will I get a chance to perform devotional service to the Lord directly?" Then Narada said, "You are so fortunate. The Lord said, the end of this lifetime, you will go back to Vaikuntha and you'll be able to see the Lord face to face and serve him personally." The cobbler was so elated, so happy. He couldn't believe it. He was a Sudra. He was a low class. He didn't understand why the Lord was so kind. And he was so touched by this, that he started inquiring, hey, what was the Lord doing? What was his activities? And then Nara said, well, he was threading an elephant through the eye of a needle this way and that way. And the cobbler started laughing. Oh, how wonderful my Lord is. He is such an amazing person. And then Narada Muni said, well, do you actually believe this? Do you believe that the Lord is threading an elephant through the eye of a needle? Materially, it's just not possible. Cobbler said, the Lord is inconceivable. The Lord can do whatever he wants. Then just to try and make the point across to Narada Muni, he picked up a small seed and he said, do you see that big banyan tree? I don't know if you've seen in India. I'm not sure in Africa if they have these banyan trees. They have massive, massive trunks and they can grow for a long, long ways. So the cobbler, in his humble understanding of the Lord, said, if the Lord can fit this massive, huge, big banyan tree in the small seed, what is the difficulty for him to put an elephant through the eye of the needle? Narada Muni could see his Shraddha, could see his faith, could see his devotional service, could see the Lord could do anything, could understand why the cobbler was going to get liberation, was going to see the Lord. And the Brahmin, who was arrogant, puffed up, thought he knew all the scriptures, but actually he didn't have any understanding of devotional service. So it is only when you're anointed with devotional service, like the cobbler, will you able to understand who Krishna is. But if you just bookworm, if you try to understand God through your all empirical senses or through Gyan, then you will come to a certain kind of frustration. So devotional service, I mean, it's such a vast, big topic. There are many, many ways that we can get the attentions of Krishna. I think just a few verses before you read in the purport, Krishna asked, Patram Paspam Palam Toyam, you give me. And then as I was introduced, I grew up in Africa. Africa has some amazing flowers. What's that nice smelling one? Champak. Such a nice smelling flower. You can offer that to Krishna. Of course, the fruits are amazing. The mangoes are amazing. The passion fruits are amazing. You can all offer this to Krishna. And the thing is, we have to understand is that Krishna doesn't need any of these things. Krishna is Atmarama. Krishna is Chintamani Prakarasadma Sukalpa Vriksha Laksha Ritesu Surabhira Vipallayantam Surabhi. His planet is filled with Surabhi cows, Kalpa Vriksha trees. He's served by thousands of maidservants and Lakshmis. What need has Krishna of your fruit? What need is Krishna of your water? But if it's saturated with Premam Jano Charita Bhakti Vilochanena, then that's what will attract Krishna. Just like when you offer some bhog to Krishna, it's very nice. But if you want that extra attention to attract Krishna, what do you put in there? Tulasi Patra. Because Krishna is very attracted to Bhakti Devi, Vrinda Devi. So Krishna doesn't need anything in his life, but what he is attracted to is our devotion. So to try and understand Krishna, A, B, C, D, X, Y, Z, 1, 2, 3, you will actually just get baffled and you won't understand it. We try to understand Krishna in a chronological way, in a linear way. It's not possible. It's only by Shraddha, by devotional service, can Krishna be understood. And then if that devotional service is powerful enough, then Krishna will come and reveal himself to you. As he did with Prahlad Maharaj, as he did with Dhruva Maharaj. There was one king, Lakshman Sena, when Bhima was collecting different arms for the Rajasurya sacrifice. He came near Navadweep, and then Lakshman Sena, he was actually a spiritual king. He was a Raja Rishi. So when he saw Bhima coming to conquer his kingdom, or rather try and take some, arms for the Rajasurya sacrifice, he wanted to give, he was willing to give, but he thought to himself that if I fight Bhima so hard, Krishna will be forced to come to protect him, then I can have darshan with him. So then he fought with Bhima. He refused to give anything for the Rajasurya sacrifice. The fighting, in short, Lakshman Sena was fighting so strong. And even though Bhima is such a powerful personality, such a powerful warrior, but because his devotion was stronger to see Krishna, Bhima could not defeat him. And at a certain point when Bhima was being defeated, that's when Krishna came to help Bhima and defeat Lakshman Sena. And at that time, Lakshman Sena surrendered, got the darshan of Krishna, happily gave for the Rajasurya sacrifice. And then someone might think, well, these are pure devotees. This is times before our time. But actually, Krishna can appear anytime. It doesn't matter time, place, Kali Yuga, Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, whatever Yuga. Krishna, as is explained, is everywhere. Is within our heart. So he can manifest himself if we have that desire. And there's so many wonderful stories. Time obviously is very, very limited. There's so many stories where Krishna does manifest himself. Right, even in Kali Yuga. And the prime example, as we know, is our dear Srila Prabhupada. When he had those 2 heart attacks, Krishna personally came and then said, don't worry, I will take care of you. And the boat was rowed by all the different personalities, the Dashavatars, the different incarnations, to let Prabhupada know that he was safe. And within ourselves, if you have a moment in your life and you're completely Atma Nivedanam, surrendered, then although you might not physically see the Lord, you will get a certain spiritual experience. And because of that spiritual experience, that's why you're listening to me. That's why you're here in this Eldoret ISKCON, because we've had some kind of spiritual experience, that's Christian, that's super soul shining through. Sometimes in the clouds, I don't know if you see, there's some rays that come through the clouds and it looks like really beautiful, these rays coming down. So that's the super soul. Every now and then he's trying to reach to us, he's trying to help us turn towards him. But because we're so ignorant, because we want to enjoy the material world so much, we don't always take advantage of what the super soul is saying. So steadiness is important. Going the distance is important. Having that shraddha, that faith. Lord Chaitanya himself has said, whether you accept me or reject me, I will still be your servant. We make no demands to Krishna. Krishna can make as many demands as he wants to us. That's his prerogative. He is our Lord and Master, but we make no demands. Well, if I chant 16 rounds for 10 years, will you able to give me a wink when I have darshan of you? No, it's up to him. Like the Brahmin, it took thousands of years. The cobbler, it just happened that time. So steadiness is the most important thing. And then just doing it day after day after day after day. Then the famous verse then if you perform your duties, your devotional service, in no matter what kind of situation, then it becomes your right that the Lord will come and reveal himself in one form or another. So it's about 8-10 minutes, so I'll stop here. If anybody has any questions or any comments, any queries, I'm happy to. I can carry on for another few more minutes. Up to you.
Hi, boss. Jaya Krishna Prabhu. I want to speak about you, but Kritika has muted me from my video.
Mataji, we can hear you. I have not muted. It was just in the beginning so that we don't have interference.
Yeah,
Mataji,
but it
please
tells me I'm
kindly.
trying to get onto the video. It says that you've been muted by the host.
Yes, that's in the beginning, but you can unmute, Mataji. And you have unmuted and we can hear you.
Yeah, the
Hare
speaker, but the video. Anyway, I would have loved to, I'm saying, let me introduce Jai Krishna, by the way. I had seen him as a young brahmachari, but he has got many diverse talents in Krishna consciousness. He could speak these stories like he's living it because he's a great actor, by the way. I've seen him as the cobbler, the Brahmin, so many, him and Dwakapuri are like a team for years and years. So one, drama. 2, he was a very good pujari. 3, he does yagya for weddings and all these samskaras, for annaprashan, for shaving the head and things like that. And I was remembering as he was speaking about his mother, when I first started going to the manor in the 80s, early 80s, his mother would be there on Sunday doing the kirtan in the for the public. And she was so full of energy when she would do the kirtan. And one of Srila Prabhupada's disciples, I think Jai Krishna also knows her, Vedavati. So Vedavati would say, do you know, she's the mother of 14 children, and see how young she is and how she can sing. And the whole big family, all into Krishna consciousness. I've not seen more fortunate family. All the sisters, brothers, all talented, So it was so good to know that Jai Krishna. How did you manage to capture Jai Krishna? Even now he's helping so many people, like Ian Nene, he's at the manor. And Jai Krishna is the backbone for making sure that he's there, helping him from all aspects, emotionally, financially. So Jai Krishna, thank you for being with us.
No,
and
it's
Embu, Rachel is from Embu. She's on the Zoom today. She's in Eldoret presently from Nairobi. She's from Embu. I'm sure she's happy to know you're from Embu.
I'm just from a small little town near Embu, but yeah, kind of Embu is the biggest town there.
But so good to see you.
Okay? Yeah, it's nice to. I was actually going to come to Mombasa in Nairobi in about 2 weeks' time to do a wedding there, but it's just too risky. I just don't want to come, unfortunately, because if I get quarantined or something, if I get stuck there. So anyway, but that's the way it is.
No, I don't think you'll be quarantined. One of my cousins is flying from Portugal to Mombasa. She's just spending 5 days in Mombasa and then coming to Nairobi.
No, but I think UK is completely different rules. It's very, very strict.
That's why I couldn't come for Rath Yatra. I would have been there this year.
Yeah.
I was
because if you come from a place like that, then you have to go in quarantine, government's facility, and it wasn't worth it.
Pay £100 for sure. I can afford it. 14 days.
Mm.
Okay, people can ask their questions. Good to see you, Jai Krishna.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Remind
It's
me of the
nice to see you. Haribol.
early old days of the manor with all the brahmacharis, young brahmacharis.
Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you.
Hare
Haribol.
Krishna, Mataji, thank you very much. The video, you can switch on your own device. When you ask questions, kindly switch on so Prabhuji can see you. Prabhuji, devotees have not been able to switch their videos on because in Kenya, the bandwidth does not support both audio and video. So
Okay.
kindly forgive them.
That's fine, no problem.
But the option is open if you wanted to switch on the video or not. Prabhuji, there is a question from ISKCON Eldoret. I'll give them a chance. Hare Krishna. Kindly unmute and ask your question, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, in the Bhagavad Gita, we are told that Krishna is beyond the power of material senses to see or to know, like he is subtle. So this person who is trying to understand Krishna using his material senses, and we as we the devotees trying to understand Krishna using the spiritual path. So how am I supposed to convince this person who is trying to understand Krishna, who is doing his devotional services through the material senses, and me who is trying to understand Krishna through spiritual path? So how should I convince this person to shift from material senses to spiritual path to understand Krishna more better? How?
Okay, so that's a very good question. So it's a very relevant question because I've talked so much about trying to understand Krishna through spiritual, through devotional service. But how do we try and convince others that we can try and see Krishna that way? Well, there's two ways, Prabhu. First, you try and understand Krishna. If you can't understand him through spiritual, you have to look at the outside material world. We just read the universal form. So the eye of Krishna represents the sun, or the water, that's the body of Krishna. And so there's many different elements which are there in the material world, which are amazing, which are beautiful in the material sense, but they represent Krishna. So by just understanding that, that is the beginning of trying to understand. Prabhupada gives the example that when you're very thirsty, and then when you drink water, and if you remember that verse from the Bhagavad Gita, Rasso Hamsa Sakunteya, that I am the taste of water, then that means you are understanding Krishna from materially drinking, and then that will slowly but surely connect you in a spiritual way, and Krishna will give the intelligence to help you understand Krishna. So that's one way, that whatever material things that we can perceive, at least we see them that they are parts of Krishna's energies. By appreciating them, even that in itself is slowly allowing us to come on the right path. The second way is through science. We try and do something with an experiment, isn't it? So then if you want to try and find out some elements, if you want to try and find out if hydrogen and nitrogen has combined together water, then you follow a certain process. And then when you follow that process, then you'll find out that hydrogen and nitrogen will become water. So then if you want to slowly transfer your material senses to the spiritual senses, then you have a certain process that you follow according to the sadhu, shastra, and guru, and that will open you through another venue, another way of looking through. At the moment, everyone has just been tunneled vision in what is given to us by the media, by school education, by what we see in the TV and the media. So by following a different process, you will find actually there's a whole different experience to be had as far as the world is concerned. but you have to have that shraddha, you have to have that faith that you're willing to take these steps to try and understand and awaken your spiritual. And of course, we know the simplest method is chanting, dancing, and taking Krishna Prasadam. So by taking those things, then the clouds of illusion will go away. Then we'll able to understand the higher aspects of life, which is spiritual.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you. I hope this helps in some way.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Is there any other question or comment? I see Parth Prabhuji and Kumar Prabhuji had switched on their video. Is there a question or comment? We can now see Mansi Ganga Mataji.
I just wanted to say this boy who asked the question, by the way, Kitika, is from Juja. Three of them from Juja in Eldoret today. I mean, they're here for some time. Dominic, Brian, who asked the question, and Benson, who's been in Eldoret, he's come back again. Just that moment.
That's very nice. I mean, it just reminds me of the story of Brahmananda Swami when he took the first devotee, African devotee, to Mayapur to show Srila Prabhupada, you know. And yeah, Prabhupada was so happy when Brahmananda brought this devotee from Africa to Mayapur.
You're trying.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Yes. Sorry, Prabhuji. Any more questions or comments? I know we have exhausted our time, Prabhuji. It's 9 o'clock here in Eldoret.
So no problem. Thank you so much.
I thank you very much for that wonderful session, Prabhuji. We request that you join us regularly if time permits.
Okay.
We really enjoyed it, and especially the stories, the way you narrate the stories, we see the actor in you, and your devotions shows the pujari in you, Prabhuji. And Prabhuji has traveled all over the world with his troupe of actors, and their dramas have really acclaimed the international fame. So thank you very much, Prabhuji. On our group, we have lots of old devotees that you might know from before, and they are very grateful for your association. I'll hand over to Parth Prabhuji, who will end the session.
Just before you pass over, then just out of interest, if anybody is interested to see some of those dramas, they're not the best quality, but there's 10, 20, 15 dramas which are on YouTube. If you just type in Bhaktivedanta players, and then it give you some selection of dramas. Again, I do kind of say they're not the best qualities, but I think you get a little kind of an idea or gist, especially if you have children, they're good for them to see.
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you very much. Prabhuji, we also have a children's group. We meet the children even on Sunday mornings from 11 to 12. So we'll go through the dramas as well with that group.
And then when we do the Janmashtami play, I'll try and send a link so you can watch. We have a nice Birth of Lord Krishna drama. It's a half an hour, Sunday or Monday. I'll try and send a link and you can watch it with your group.
Yes, Prabhuji, that would be amazing. Thank you so much.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol, Hari Bol. I hand over to Parth Prabhuji, our mentor as well. Along with
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for your giving the class, also precious time, and
Thank
also
you.
dedication to spread the Prabhupada movement across the world, and especially by the drama, the play. We are all people like the play. When I was also in a school age, then I can see also from Mayapur, they are crossing with the group of a team. They are the chariot, they are big bullock, and they are staying one village today. Then they performing the drama. Then they moving to the next village. They are performing drama. Very amazing, and it is attractive to the people. And they are distributing books. They are distributing food. It's very, at that time the preaching moment is going. It's very nice. and I can understand, I can see, I can, when you tell that, I can recall from my past times, the past years. So when we are entangled with him, then we can arrange the program for the Mayapur troops. They are coming with 50, 60 devotees. Their kitchen party is going ahead, then the Rath is coming there, then Maharaj is there. It's very nice, Prabhu. Thank you very much for your spreading the Krishna consciousness across the world. And
Thank
if
you.
you have time, please give some special attention to the spreading the Krishna consciousness in Kenya, especially in Kenya, because we are keen, everyone is keen, like Manshinga Mataji, and we are also, and also Guru Maharaj also very interested, also Prabhupada interested to spread Krishna consciousness in Kenya. If you have time, please give your special attention. So it will be better for spread the Krishna consciousness. Thank you, Prabhuji. You are telling very nice way, also describing the stories, like Arjun and Duryodhana's requesting to the Krishna, also the cobbler and the priest. Also, you can told that one, we cannot understand Krishna in your limited senses to unlimited source. That is also one of the wonderful things also Prabhupada written. So if we understand Krishna, we are supposed to pure our mind and senses for the devotional service. So we are trying, Prabhu, for the devotional service. If you want, by Krishna's mercy, also like you, the great devotees, the senior devotee by mercy, we can able to purify our mind and heart and soul and senses, then we can be travel in this, or we can be elevated in the devotional service. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. On behalf of his family, I welcome you. Also, I thanks all the devotees who join here. I request all the devotees, please unmute yourself and chant Hare Krishna mantra for glorification of His grace. Jaya Krishna Prabhu. Please join.
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Vancha
Vanchakalpatarobhyasya kirpa sindhuvaya Aditanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo namo namaha.
His grace Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
His grace Jaya Krishna Prabhu ki Jai.
Jai.
You know, today Shama Kotecha is there, the Eldred group. She's actually Divesh's aunt. I kind of sent her the Zoom link, but this is the second or third time she's there. Shama, show up yourself. We can all see your pretty face. Shama. She's not. Shama
Yes.
Kotecha.
Hare Krishna. Yeah.
She's shown?
Yes, yes. Mataji, you are muted. Shama Koteja Mataji, you are muted. Can you yes.
Sorry. Hare Krishna, everyone. Hare Krishna.
Oh, Hare Bol. Is it Divesh you sent you or I send the link so I can take the credit?
Thank you so much.
That's Divesh's aunt, by the way.
Okay. I think he's in the drama, Janmashtami drama.
Sorry?
If it's the same Divyesh, I'm thinking that, well, there's one Divyesh is in the Janmashtami drama this year.
No, this is Divesh from Eldoret, by the way, the Jaya Krishna.
Sorry.
And the aunt is in Kisumu.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Divesh is a big patron here. Haribol, I'm getting
Haribol, everyone.
Haribol.
Hare Krishna. Hare Bol. Okay, I will contact you for your association again, Prabhuji, whenever you have the time.
Okay.
Because
Maybe at Diwali time I can do a Ramayan Katha or something. Yeah.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Okay.
Hare Krishna. Hare Bol.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Bol, Hare Krishna.